If you're daydreaming about your next vacation and what it could look like, how about, here's an idea, renting a villa? It might not be as complicated as you think, and we've got some tips on how to do that. And by we, I mean travel journalist Loren Christie, who is actually at a villa right now that he has rented. He is joining us from, wait for it, Greece. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Lindsey.
So where exactly are you?
So I'm on a Greek island, which is about a 4-hour ferry ride from Athens, or maybe an hour from Mykonos. It's called Paros, and it is one of those up-and-coming Greek islands. And I'm sitting in a villa with a little bit of rain out today with 10 friends.
10 friends. Okay, so that sounds like it must be a big place, right? It looks very fancy to me. Is this on the high end of the scale?
You know what, it is on the higher end of the scale for sure, but you know what's amazing about renting villas is I think people have this perception that it's just going to be so much money. But this one, when you break it down, there's actually 10 of us, including myself. When you break it down for the 5 couples, it comes to just under $300 a night, which arguably, you know, there's a lot of hotels in Canada and some of our tourism hotspots, which are that and more. So when you break it out, it's actually not that bad, but it is awfully lovely, I have to admit.
Oh, and we're looking at video right now. It is stunning. So let's get to some of your tips. So if you're thinking of renting a villa and that's the way you want to go, what should you be looking for?
Well, a couple things. You know, obviously you want to know what's included, and if you're not sure, make sure that you're clarifying any of those things. Location, as with anything, is super important, but in this case, you know, there's reasons why it matters even more. For example, in our case, you know, we're not really close to a grocery store, so we had to factor in renting a couple of cars as part of our vacation. So you want to keep that in mind. You want to check reviews, and I don't mean just about the villa and its staff and the service, which are all very important, but again, as I just said, the location's super important. What are you going to see? What are you going to do? What are you going to eat? Those are all questions you want to know. And when you're planning out your vacation, you have to take those into extra account with a villa that may or may not be close to a town, as an example. And then, of course, you want to make sure, I think really key when you're planning your vacation, you want to make sure that that company gives you a local contact. Really important to have really clear check-in, check-out procedures. And if something goes wrong, you want someone local on the ground that you can contact.
Immediately, yeah. So often people don't know where to start looking. What are your suggestions?
Yeah, it's a tough one. You know, there's so many places. You know, there's a lot of villa rental companies, you know, Villas by Distinction, One Fine Stay, Abercrombie and Kent here in Canada. But I really think that the best way to go is use a travel agent or an advisor. You know, they're becoming very specialized these days. So if it's whether they specialize in the destination or in villa rental in particular, I think it's a great way to go. You know, we were looking at Tahiti as an example before, and Tahiti by Carl would have been great for that, but he doesn't know Greece. So instead we ended up going with Huga Travel out of Halifax, and they know Greek islands and they know villas. So consider using an agent. Make sure that you have a good solid contract that you sign. You know, I would also recommend trying to use a credit card when you pay. Unfortunately, here in Europe, they do prefer wire transfers. But again, that was a great reason to use a travel agent because we knew that the villa company was tried and true. The other thing you can do is if you prefer, go through a hotel company. You know, there's more and more hotel companies like Marriott, Accor, Rosewood, who have villa product, which are great. And the benefit there, of course, is that you get to use the hotel amenities as well as having the villa experience.
Oh, that's so nice. And just one point about the travel agent, because a lot of people will look at that and go, well, I don't want to have to pay a travel agent and pay for my trip. How do travel agents get paid?
They will get paid based on what the services are that they provide to you. So just like any other service, you do have to pay out a little bit from that. You know, some work on commission, some work on a service fee, depends on on the way that they're set up. But I would highly recommend factoring it into your cost because it really is worth it. And
lastly, I want to ask you about this really great tip about taking a walk around the property when you get there. And what do you recommend doing?
Yeah, sort of like when you get a rental car, you kind of do a little loop around to make sure there's no nicks and whatnot in the car. You do the same thing with the villa. You want to make sure that there's no damage that you could be held accountable for after the fact. And it's always good, again, with that local contact to teach you how to use things. I don't want to speak out of turn, but one of our friends may have got locked in the bathroom for 20 minutes the other night. No. So if we had known about the finicky lock, that may not have happened. But those are always fun things that happen on vacation.
Oh, that's so funny. A friend of mine was telling me a story about the kind of the same thing, and they realized after they closed the door at an Airbnb that they had rented, there was a Post-it note on the door when it was closed saying, please don't lock the door. I mean, come on. Loren Christie, exactly. Enjoy your vacation. Enjoy your time there. It looks absolutely beautiful. We appreciate your time that you spent with us this morning.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.